Welcome to Pathways, a career podcast from the Idaho State University Career Center. I'm your host, Mark Beaver. Today we're talking with Ryan Sargent, Executive Director of Alumni Relations and Advancement Communications for Idaho State University. Though Ryan has always been fairly focused on his career path, it was really following his values that got him back to his job here at Idaho State. Please sit back and enjoy our conversation with Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on your show.
Of course. You're one of those people that I feel like I see your name everywhere around campus. In the 3 years that I've been here, I feel like everywhere I look, I see Ryan Sargent connected to things. So besides doing a little bit of everything, obviously, what could you just give us kind of a snapshot of your job, of the day-to-day of what it is to be the Executive Director of Alumni Relations and Advancement Communications?
Sure. So university advancement, I guess we could maybe start with that and kind of the division that I work for. When we talk about university advancement, the purpose is kind of the external relations of the university. So we work with donors and volunteers, with policymakers, and that's really the role of university advancement, is to try to advance the university by building relationships with external partners. Okay. And so specifically my role in university advancement is to serve as the director of the Alumni Association, so all of our alumni related programs. And then also we do, in my area, we handle the annual fund, and annual giving. So that's small donors. We have KISU, so Jamin and Dave Mulder over here at the studio are part of our area. We have some athletic fundraising through the Bengal Boosters. What am I missing? Donor relations is in my area. Yeah. And then, of course, advancement communications, which is, creating communications materials and strategies for the whole advancement team. And so that'd be, helping our development officers who deal with major donors have materials to show those major donors.
So what does that take for you? Say, like, what kind of skills do you have to employ on a daily basis? Is this a lot of kind of communication and outreach and collaboration? Are you doing a lot of writing, working on teams, like writing proposals, working on teams, managing teams?
Yeah, so I think communications is, incredibly important for those of us that work in university advancement. Our main role is to build those relationships, and that's done by creating cases for our friends and alumni, reasons for them to be involved as volunteers or donors or advocates. Yeah. And so I think communications and organization are key to being successful in our world. Right.
So from just like a purely work aspect, coming to work every day, what do you like about this job? What do you love about this job? What does it do for you?
Oh, this is the best job I've ever had. So I like I like a whole lot about this job. But what I think is really exciting about the work that I do is that I believe in what we're doing. I believe that higher education really does make a difference in people's lives and opens doors that impacts individuals and families for generations. And for myself, I'm a first generation college student who had parents that always encouraged me to go to college, but didn't know the process because they didn't do it themselves. And I was, I went to Idaho State. I'm one of our alumni. Coming to Idaho State was a really transformational period in my life where I really grew and had some meaningful experiences and relationships, and found out that I was capable of some things that I didn't know that I was capable of. And that was largely made possible not only because of a supportive family that encouraged me to go down this path, but because of Nick and Sarah Ift, who funded my scholarship that allowed me to come to school without financial burden. And I really don't think without their involvement with Idaho State and creating this scholarship that I was able to get. I certainly think it would have been more difficult for me to go to school and to finish school. And so I think that it's remarkable that the IFs have both passed away now. But at one time they owned the Idaho State Journal and found some financial success, but used their wealth in a way to help someone like me that they didn't know, that they would help for years. Yeah. I just think that is so noble. And that's what I like about my job.
Right.
Is
because you're kind of building some of those connections now for other students who are coming in.
Yeah, creating these opportunities for students, and getting to work with people like the IFs, who are using their wealth to really benefit a whole lot of other people. And so it's exciting not only to see students on campus be benefited for the things that we raise money for and bring people, get them reconnected with Idaho State University. But I also get to see the students and how their lives are changed and benefited. And, it's really a great job. It's exciting work and meaningful work. And I feel so grateful to be able to come to work and do something that I truly believe in and feel makes the world a better place.
That's
every day.
Fantastic. That's incredible that you've kind of got to see it from both sides. You've kind of done this full circle through, as the student coming in, as the first generation student to benefit from these, and now kind of moving into this other side and seeing how that all happened. That's pretty amazing. I can see how that would really inspire you on a daily level to you understand what your work can be leading to.
Yeah, it's
that's powerful.
It's awesome, and we work on bringing alumni back to mentor students, and just being able to see those relationships develop is a lot of fun.
Sure, all those little barriers for so many of our students, that mentorship, financial help, things like that are so many people might not think of, but that's pretty amazing. So something else that we like to talk about a lot on this show is obviously you get some pretty warm fuzzies from the work you do on a daily basis. It feels good, right? So it feels great coming to work and doing your job, but we all have lives outside of our jobs as well. So for you personally, for your values, for your lifestyle, what is it about this job that really benefits your life outside of work?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Obviously, it allows me to support my family, pay the bills, and that's ultimately, very important. But what I love about working at Idaho State is ISU has always been part of my life. So although my parents, didn't graduate from college, I grew up in Pocatello. And so my earliest, memories, Idaho State has been part of that. My grandma worked at ISU as an administrative assistant in the geology department, and then later at the Idaho Museum of Natural History. So some of my earliest memories are like coming to see her and being out on the quad. I remember there was a really cool dinosaur exhibit at the museum, like when I was a little kid, that I still remember. But I remember, eating lunch with her and seeing the eye on Red Hill from the quad, and then as I got older, we always had field trips to ISU. We had professors come and guest lecture. I remember in my government class having political science professors that came and spoke in my government class that really got me interested in political science, which is what I eventually majored in. So I say that in an effort to answer your question, just that Idaho State's always been a part of my life. And one of the things that I love about working here is that I get to do that with my daughters and my wife now, that there's always something exciting and interesting happening at campus, and I get to know about it and be a part of it, whether that's our international nights put on by our various student groups, or football games and basketball games, which I really enjoy, or our symphony. I mean, I love the Joy to the World concert during Christmas time every single year. And so Idaho State has really created a community and a culture that I like being a part of. And so I don't know if that was the main intent or thrust of your question, because I think you're probably asking, does the job allow me to enjoy my weekends and spend time with my family? It certainly does. But what I think is so unique and why I value my job and feel blessed for what I'm able to do is because it opens up a whole world of excitement and opportunities that I get to be in the middle of, and I get to bring my young daughters and let them be a part of that. And I love that about working at about ISU generally and working at Idaho State.
Yeah. No, I think that answered that question perfectly. Right? I mean, there's something that you get living in a college town, in any college town, that you don't get in every other town. All these kind of cultural events that are going on, right? From sports to international nights to symphonies, all these things that you just mentioned. These are things, I mean, especially in a state like Idaho, these are probably mostly going to be centered really in college towns, and having the ability to work at a place that, allows you to do the things you need to do, right? So buy food, pay your mortgage, et cetera, to live the life you want to live, but also kind of has all of those built in. That's a special part of a job, right? If that's something that you value, which it is, you grew up with it, it's ingrained. I think that's an incredibly important part of finding work maybe at a university or a college town, if those are things that are important to you.
Yeah. And I love how Idaho State, I work a lot of football games, for example. We're in the middle of football season, and we're always hosting people on game days, and we've got, the president's tent, an alumni welcome tent, and food trucks. And but I feel so lucky that I get to go to work on Saturdays, but I can bring my family along, and they can have a good time as well. I mean, that's
and it really is
unique. I think.
And it's a community unto itself. I mean, it's a community within a community. That the Idaho State community is a community unto itself, and it's also part of the greater Pocatello community, and they're both connected. That's another great thing about working at a place like a university in Idaho State, specifically in Pocatello. They're a little bit smaller, and you get those interactions and those relationships, and you bridge those relationships with the general community outside of the university. And I think I think community is huge. For mental and emotional well-being, to have those connections, and that's something that I think is really built into a job like this in a place like this as well.
And you get to be around such interesting people. The excitement of students who are, doing a whole host of things, discovering things that they love, becoming activists for causes that they believe in. You get to be a part of all of that. Yeah. And then our coworkers are just smart, interesting people. I mean, I'm not that smart and whatever, but I certainly am benefited from some very smart friends that teach here, and I get to learn a little bit about the research that they're doing, and it's interesting. There's always lectures or things that can kind of break up your day or your week, and
definitely. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to start doing this podcast, is just to have more conversations about all the interesting things that everyone is doing. And also, I think part of it for me is I always like to see where fashion is going every year. When the students show up every year, I realize how I'm stuck.
how out of date we are.
How I'm still stuck at however I dressed at age 27 or whatever, but things keep moving.
That's great.
So you talked a lot about your youth and kind of growing up around Idaho State and coming here often. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, so I'm not sure that I knew what I wanted to be. I don't have any memories of, being in elementary school and thinking that I wanted to be a policeman or a firefighter or something like that. But when I, got into later junior high and high school, I joined the debate team, which was a great experience for me and really introduced me to this whole new world of doing research and trying to be able to articulate an argument and be challenged by other people's ideas. And not only that, to come to appreciate other people's opinions. And so when I was in high school, I started thinking that I wanted to be a lawyer and that I wanted to study political science. That was mostly because the ISU debate team, which has been a strong program for decades now, would come to our high school. I went to Highland. They'd come to our high school or invite us to campus and really help us learn how to debate.
Right,
and most of these debaters at ISU, at least at the time, were political science majors, and I never thought about that. And didn't know what political science meant, or until they started talking about it, and sort of start thinking, well, yeah, I want to study politics and government, and then go to law school. So that's
so you came out of high school kind of with that intention. Was that you already had that intention? You kind of had that formulated. Political science could lead to.
Yeah, probably since I was a sophomore in high school. That's I knew what I wanted to major in, and then I wanted to go to law school and be a lawyer.
And so then when you enrolled here, did you major in political science?
Yep, majored in political science. Never changed my major or second guessed myself. I had the intention of minoring in history, which I didn't do. I didn't get quite enough credits in history, but enjoyed history and thoroughly enjoyed political science and the department and the professors here. I really appreciate my training in political science because not only do I just think politics and government are interesting, but I think political science uniquely helps you understand all sides of an argument or of a position. I think that's really affected me in my ability and desire to try to understand where other people are coming from and understand why they believe what they believe or advocate for what they advocate for. And I think that's definitely made me a better person. I think it's made me more empathetic. I think it's made me smarter than I otherwise would be. I think I'm a more curious person than I otherwise would have been without that education. And so I had a great time at ISU for a whole host of reasons, but one of them was because of my field of study that I really enjoyed and
definitely.
And I think in a very real way, I was able to benefit from the underlying idea of a bachelor's degree, which is a liberal arts education where you try to walk out a little bit, a little bit of a Renaissance man, knowing a little bit about everything. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that really is the value of higher education a little bit. The getting further experience in critical thinking, right? We talk about in the Career Center, we talk about all the time transferable skills, right? So something maybe they used to call soft skills, but thinking about
human skills,
right? But thinking about it as like transferable skills that no matter what line of work you go into, this is going to be something that is of value to an employer, right?
Yeah.
And more and more in the world we live in.
How do you deal with conflict?
Right.
How do you, like you said, think critically.
Today.
How do you?
Yeah.
How do you communicate?
Right. The ability to sit back and kind of take in all sides and think critically about them and process them and you formulate your own feelings and communicate them in an effective manner. That's going to be vital to any workplace.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, sure that can be developed in high school and that can be developed without higher education, but in higher ed you have this unique atmosphere to really hone these type of skills and get this exposure. And I think I think that is kind of the true value.
I had an interesting project at work that we've been working on for, I don't know, last 18 months or so. My boss, our vice president of advancement, Colin McGowan, and myself have had this opportunity to interview about 40 Idaho-based CEOs or other top executives. And we've been talking about our intention in these conversations is to help Idaho State students have the best experience possible leaving the university and finding success in their careers, kind of this glide path directly into the workforce. Yeah. So we've interviewed these CEOs, what are you looking for from, for college graduates? Is it important to be a college graduate? What's the value of the bachelor's degree? And overwhelmingly, the CEO, all of them have said that a bachelor's degree is still very important. They want people to go to college. But what I thought was interesting is very few of them have said, for example, we're looking for majors in da-da-da-da. Yeah. They've said, we want people that have earned bachelor's degrees because they learn these human skills. And so it was really interesting to me because I just assumed, that when you're talking to a banker, they'd say, we need more finance graduates. But we didn't hear a lot of that. We heard we need people coming out that have what you've called transitional skills, transferable skills. Yeah. We've been calling them human skills, but
many titles.
These soft skills that nobody likes saying soft skills anymore. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, also we're talking about this is a great time to kind of build a lot of those skills. Did you participate in debate while you were here at ISU?
No, I was never formally on the debate team or anything like that, but I did. I feel like my Idaho State experience was one that I wouldn't have been able to have literally at any other college in the country. And I say that because I feel like Idaho State gave me all the benefits of like a big major research university, but kind of had the small liberal arts college feel. And I think that that's really unique, but I was able to do everything, right? I was a student ambassador. There's there's something about meeting, a bunch of different families, coming with their kids, being able to talk about school and really having to analyze, what's been valuable to me, why I've been here at school. I was able to do student government. I was able to get what back then was called a presidential internship, where you like took a project and really tried to improve the university in some area. Participated in a ton of student events. I was a club president and joined an academic fraternity. I mean, I can't imagine any other school where I would have had all of those opportunities all in one.
Right. Good on you for taking those. And that was what I was getting at a little bit is, I said debate because it seemed like you had an interest in that, but really taking advantage of those extracurricular activities to build those skills. Right. I mean, I think so many people don't understand the benefit that you're going to get out of something maybe as simple as like a student ambassador might seem on the surface. It might seem, this is me generalizing maybe for some people, that it might seem like a little more trouble than it's worth.
Sure.
So, like, what do you actually get out of it, right? And to just hear how, the skills that you can get out of that can lead to something else. Or open up a door here, you meet someone here, it kind of gets you more excited to maybe try out something over here, and how those can kind of snowball. And before you know it, I mean, everything that you have mentioned in your job now seems like you built a lot of those skills.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With communication, everything that you mentioned has a lot of communication built into it, and kind of this relationship building and that outreach. And it seems like you gained a lot of those skills just through experience.
Yeah, in a very direct way, it made me a better student too, because I don't remember beyond maybe my freshman year going to any class where I didn't know a few people because of these extracurricular activities. So I'm not great at the hard sciences. I've never been an excellent student in that area, but I took geology as one of the general education requirements. And I walked in there. There was two other people that I was ambassadors with. We formed a study group, and I think we all did better in geology than we otherwise would have. So, I mean, the benefits are endless, but some of them are so direct and immediate that your grades will get better.
I agree. I completely agree. Yeah. I found the same thing in my undergraduate. If I had maybe just a small pot of people I knew in that class, it was going to be less work for me to get a good grade in that class.
Yeah. Yeah, and more fun. I mean, it's more fun to have people you like to study with, and
sure, and
bounce ideas off.
Yeah, bounce ideas off.
Did I understand this assignment correctly? Just to talk things through with.
Right, or even they might have a different perspective, and helps you kind of gain a better perspective for whatever you're working on. Completely. So, did you end up going down the path towards being a lawyer?
I did, yeah. So I graduated from Idaho State, and then the next fall I went up to the University of Idaho and started law school up there. Finished law school in 3 years, passed the bar, practiced law full time for a few years before I took this job at Idaho State. I still am licensed to practice law and practice with a small firm based in Boise.
Oh, do you?
So yeah, it's an excellent situation that I'm in. But, yeah.
So what made you take this job over continuing to practice law full time?
Yeah. So firstly, I thoroughly enjoyed law school and practicing law. It's a great profession. I ended up here though because shortly after I graduated law school, I joined the Alumni Association Board of Directors. And so the Alumni Association has a board of directors made out of 24 member board. And I was one of those 24 members, which got me reconnected with Idaho State. I've loved Idaho State for a long time, but had such a great experience. I was happy to be reconnected in that way. And then eventually a job came open, and I think because I had been on the board, one of the vice presidents at ISU was aware of me from my time as being a student and then a volunteer, and he just called me one night and said, "Hey, we've got this job opening. I think you ought to apply if you find it interesting." And I thought about it for a while and thought it was interesting, so I applied and ended up here. So
yeah. Well, I mean, everything that we kind of talked about opening up, just your connections to this community and to this place, going all the way back to your childhood, I think it seems like it'd be a pretty strong pull for you to be back involved with this university in some way. And I mean, you've got so many skills over the year, obviously make you a great candidate for this type of job. So and that's amazing that all this
I hope so
kind of lined up like that.
I feel so blessed just generally in my career. I mean, I was able to work at a private litigation firm right out of law school, which was great. The two partners there were just excellent to work with. I feel like I grew a lot, came to understand the law better there, and then opportunity to get back to Eastern Idaho opened up as a prosecutor, and was able to be a prosecutor for a few years. I just absolutely loved being in the courtroom, and so much fun. It was like what I dreamed about as a kid, watching Law and Order and being on the Highland debate team, and then to be able to come back to ISU and be a part of an organization that I just believe so heavily in. I'm grateful for that bachelor's degree that I got at Idaho State that started this whole career path off.
Right. Incredible. That's an awesome story. And I love that sentiment, just getting that bachelor's and kind of following that path. I guess as we wrap up here, do you have any kind of last words for students or career seekers, or even anything just awesome going on in your office that you just kind of want to plug or tell people about?
There's always exciting things going on in our office, and you can check that out at isu.edu/alumni. So I encourage everyone to jump on there. We'd love to have you be involved. We've got an exciting scholarship campaign going on right now that I'm so enthused to be a part of. We're raising $20 million for student scholarships to try to ease the financial burden that many Bengal students face. And we've raised, as of today, right around $13.5 million. So that $20 million goal. Awesome. We've got some I've been amazed at how Bengal Nation has united around this cause, and we have donations coming in every day, and it's exciting to see how much our alumni and friends care about our students and future generations of students. So jump on that website and get involved. In terms of advice to students, I think that being a college student is such a wonderful experience and opportunity, and you should squeeze it like a lemon, get everything you can out of it, because it's such a finite period of time, and anywhere from 2 or 4 years, and you should make the most of every day. Go meet people, have fun, go to student activities, find what you love. Try some new things out. I can speak from experience that I came to Idaho State as a kid without very much confidence, that did not get good grades in high school, that was really questioning whether or not, socially I would succeed, whether or not academically I would succeed, whether or not financially this would result in, a career. I do not think that I am like the smartest person in any room, but what I do think happened for me at Idaho State was that I tried to take advantage of the opportunities that were placed before me. I tried to get to know my professors and really glean as much as I could from them, and the result of that has been more than I ever could have imagined. So advice for students would be just to get out there, and there's a lot of services that I didn't take advantage of. So go to the writing center,
Right. Yeah.
Go to the math center. That's what I wish I would have taken advantage of. I took Math 108. Is Math 108 still around? Man, I took Math 108 like 4 times.
Yeah.
And I probably could have got some help from the math center and moved on more quickly. And I did take advantage of the Career Center. After I graduated law school, I had the Career Center, look at the ISU Career Center, look over my resume and my cover letter. And it was, extremely helpful just to have a second set of eyes from professionals that, they're really experts at how to put a resume together, how to prepare for an interview, how to write an effective cover letter. And so really take advantage of these things.
Awesome.
You won't regret it. That's what I can promise, is you won't regret it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ryan. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And that was our conversation with Ryan Sargent. It's great to hear a story about someone who was a first-generation student and had the support to find their way to a university, and then the foresight to really get themselves involved in every step along the way. If you're interested in being part of that support network, please visit the alumni website mentioned by Ryan. And if you're interested in finding some career advice on your own path, please feel free to visit isu.edu/career for more information. From the ISU Career Center, this is Mark Beaver, wishing you a fantastic rest of your day.